almost set for tip-off in Atlanta. Florida State, ranked 19th in the nation, taking on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Welcome back to McCamish Pavilion. Nolan Alexander with Kurt Hoyt. Florida State, 11-1 on the season. The only loss for the Seminoles on the road against Nebraska. Georgia Tech 7-5, winners of 4 in a row. Kurt, we take a look at the Georgia Tech starting lineup. It's been the same starting 5 the last 6 games. Maybe Tech is finding consistency.
Yeah, they seem to think so ever since Aaliyah Whiteside entered the starting lineup. That seems to have settled things down. Don May, the point guard, leading the ACC in steals right now. And Georgia Tech forced 24 turnovers last year, so she could come up big tonight.
Georgia Tech in the white jerseys as the home team. Florida State in the garnet. And the opening tip-off is controlled by the Seminoles.
The difference for the Seminoles this year is they've got Tolles there at point guard. Last year, DeLuzio and Rodriguez had to split time there.
Natasha Howard off the mark. Rebound goes to Danielle Hamilton-Carter. This is a Florida State team offensively that shoots almost 50% from the floor, Kurt.
Yeah, number 3 in the NCAA coming into the night at 49.8%. They missed that first shot. Rebounding is going to be huge for Georgia Tech if they're going to stay with the Seminoles.
This is Ty Marshall, preseason All-ACC leader of this team. 3-pointer for the Jackets off the mark. Jasmine Blaine controls the rebound.
And there it is, an offensive rebound for Tech.
That's Dawn May with her first points of the day.
Yeah, May able to dribble through the zone and put up a short jumper to open the scoring.
Morgan Tolles making her return to the Peach State, senior from Fayetteville, Georgia. Davis off the backboard.
One of the 5 players averaging in double figures, 12.3 points per game.
Marshall finds Hamilton Carter.
Now is just Georgia Tech getting up the floor quickly, getting Hamilton Carter back behind the defense where she had a nice easy lay-in.
Tolles pulls up and we have a tie ball game.
A nice screen out top by Chelsea Davis to open space for Tolles. She doesn't score a lot, but she can pick up buckets here and there.
Marshall off the mark. Rebound goes to Florida State.
And Marshall was the big scorer for Tech last year against Florida State.
Each of these teams playing their second ACC game of the season. Georgia Tech lost on the road at Duke. Florida State won 76-70 against Boston College.
And now they're going to get a foul, I think, on Marshall.
Tech foul charge to number 15, Ty Marshall.
Going up with
First team foul.
Rodriguez that time. Leo Rodriguez is only an 88% free throw shooter. There's 3 80+% free throw shooters in the starting lineup for Florida State.
Seminoles can really shoot the basketball.
Well, as a team, they're over 71%.
Rodriguez, ACC Player of the Week once this season. That announced back on November 26th, and she knocks both free throws in. Seminoles with a 2-point lead.
Yeah, 3 different Seminoles have been Player of the Week so far this year in the ACC.
Whiteside goes up and draws the foul.
Yeah, that's big for Tech because they get down below that zone defense, drive the baseline. She was able to work it hard, as we see on the replay, driving that baseline, making the layup, shooting 1 for the old-fashioned 3-point play.
Foul was charged to Chelsea Davis, her first.
Now Whiteside 67% on the free throws.
Yellow Jackets regain the lead.
Tech fans will like her making that.
Rodriguez dishes it down low. Tolles guarded by Whiteside. And she gets it to fall in.
Yeah, her season average was 3.5 coming into the game. She's got 4 already, and we're not even 3 minutes into this game.
Marshall finds Dawn May across the court. Back to Whiteside. Marshall, the junior, up with it.
They seem to have found a seam in that defense along that baseline. And Whiteside the last time, Marshall this time.
These two teams went at it last year. Georgia Tech came away with a big victory, 79-55, but that was a much different Florida State team a year ago, Kurt.
Yeah, they didn't have a point guard last year. DeLuzio and Rodriguez were sort of point guard by committee, and they each committed 7 turnovers in that game last year.
Hamilton Carter with the bucket.
So having Morgan Tolles available to them at point guard as well as Chita Delgado, the backup point guard, has really made a difference for this team.
Well, Kurt, when we previewed this game, we talked about the Florida State offensive lot. Right now, it's Georgia Tech with 11 points right out the gate. A traveling violation is called on the Seminoles.
Right on the drive, and 11 points early. Georgia Tech usually likes games in the 60s. They're averaging about 65, 66 points a game. Florida State averaging up over 80. And so you would think a high-scoring game would tend to favor the Seminoles, but Georgia Tech's played a tougher pre-conference schedule than Florida State has, where they've been able to cash in on some weaker opponents and run up those scoring numbers.
The Yellow Jackets' strength of schedule currently rated 9th toughest in the nation.
And toughest schedule in the conference.
May looks at a 3. Well off the mark, and Davis picks it up.
Yeah, Florida State had 3 garnet jerseys down there in the paint ready for it.
DeLuzio.
Let's see what she can do. Slashing, but it's Tolles. That's the story, I think, in the early going for Florida State. She's got 6 now. And if she goes off scoring, that could be bad news for Yellow Jacket fans.
Only averaging about 3.5 points a game.
She does have a career high of 21, though, so she can score. It hasn't been her thing.
The freshman Whiteside off the backboard.
Plowed right through that double team. Made the shot. That's the amazing part. And she'll get to shoot a free throw.
That will send us to the timeout. A close game in Atlanta. Georgia Tech with an early 11-10 lead over Florida State. It's the first ACC game at McCamish Pavilion, and right now Georgia Tech with a 13-10 lead over Florida State. Just over 4 minutes to go, and let's look at some highlights for Georgia Tech. And right now the Jackets are shooting very well, Kurt.
Yeah, Danielle Hamilton Carter on that shot there, getting behind the defense. Tech's been able to drive the baseline. See Aaliyah Whiteside there, drew the foul on that one and made the free throw. But Tech is 6 of 9 so far from the floor. And then Ty Marshall's going to drive the baseline as well. So that's the early seam Tech has found in that Florida State defense is splitting that, is going down that baseline and making some things happen. So Tech 6 for 9 shooting so far. Florida State on the other side of things, and there's Whiteside just before the timeout, splitting the double team, making the shot and getting the foul that puts her at the line. It's been Tolles, who's now on the bench after the timeout, 3 for 4 for Florida State. The rest of the team's 1 for 4 to start things off.
And Whiteside misses the free throw. She's now 1 for 2 on the day.
Yeah, now you got Chita Delgado, the smallest player in the room, playing point guard for the Seminoles.
Seminoles really like that combination of Tolles and Delgado running the point.
Yeah, they do. Delgado may be 5'2", but she gets a lot of rebounds like that one right there.
Rodriguez from 3. Rebound Florida State and a foul down low.
And you can see what Delgado brings to the team because she is always sneaking down the weak side of the lane trying to get a backside rebound or so. She was down there below trying to get it, but the foul there on the rebounding.
This is Natasha.
Ty Marshall second. So that's big for the Jackets.
This is Natasha Howard of the line. 6'3" junior from Toledo, Ohio. 62% free throw shooter as she makes the first one.
And so Sydney Wallace is going to take Ty Marshall's place. Marshall's had some foul trouble of late. She's picked up 4 fouls in each of her last 3 games.
And if there's one player Tech really can't afford to lose, especially in a game like this, to foul trouble, it's Ty.
It's Ty Marshall, yes. She came up big against Florida State last year. She was a big-time player for Tech all season last year, and it's hard to have her on the bench. Sydney Wallace is a good shooter, but she's been cold to start this season after scoring 32 against #1 Baylor in the NCAA tournament last year.
She launches a 3, and she gets it off the backboard. She did heat up a little, though, down in Florida International for the Fun and Sun Classic. She was 4 for 7 from downtown.
She was, and the Tech fans are hoping that opens things up for her.
And the Seminoles answer right back with Natasha Howard.
And they were able to move down there pretty quickly. I mean, Natasha Howard, another player, 14.1 points a game. They've got a lot of players who can score. So if one of them is cold, there's still 4 others to pick it up.
Rogers loses the handle, and this is Rodriguez for the Seminoles running down the court.
I'm sure that's how they've picked up a lot of their points.